Hey, Lance Morgan here, and in this video I want to show you 4 secrets to cut the cost of college and how to pay for college and get a full college funding refund during retirement. If you don't know who I am, my name is Lance Morgan again, and I am the proud father of these 5 lovely kids, 2 of which, my oldest 2 daughters, are already in college. Hard to believe. My oldest actually just got married, so my family is growing. I'm very excited, and I have been doing this for a while, and I will be doing it for a while because my youngest guy is in elementary school and everywhere in between. So I personally understand how stressful all this can be, and I'm so excited to share with you what I have learned and how it could help you as well. I'm also the author of the Retirement Scholarship Strategy book back in 2018. When I wrote this was an Amazon bestseller. Now, the information that I'm going to share with you in this video is a little bit more up to date, but if you'd like to go pick up the book, you're more than welcome to. And recently, we just started working with Kevin Harrington because he's one of the original sharks from Shark Tank, and he knows as well as anyone how big of a problem this is and how many families are really concerned about the high cost of college. And this is what Kevin Harrington has to say about these unique college funding secrets and the retirement scholarship strategy that I'm about to share with you.
Kevin Harrington here, original shark from Shark Tank. Ligeti teaches families how to pay for their children's college without sacrificing their retirement. I recommend these unique strategies to save and pay for your kids' college education.
Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into these 4 college funding secrets. Starting with secret number 1, how to maximize the free money from the schools and reduce that sticker price without searching for private scholarships. Here's the secret. The secret is private scholarships actually make up less than 1% of all of the free money that's offered each year. Most of the money actually comes from the schools through what we call merit-based scholarships or need-based financial aid, right? Now, here's how it works. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. The way that you can maximize the free money is through what we call student positioning, where you try to go from maybe a student that is gifted in other ways and move them over to what we would call an exceptionally gifted student. That's probably what you're already familiar with, the classes that you take, building your resume, your test scores, your GPA, all of that is not what we're going to dive into in detail in this video, but we do have additional videos that covers that in more detail as far as getting accepted to your top tier dream school or whatever the case may be. But that is what most people are familiar with, student positioning. What I want to focus on in this video is what we call financial positioning. Financial positioning is where they look at what they call the EFC number, or now it's called the SAI number. It's the Student Aid Index. It's a number that is based on income and assets, and it's all part of what we call enrollment management. Now, enrollment management is kind of like getting to the top of the search engines in Google. There's a lot of formulas that go into whether or not the student or the schools want to accept your student and if they're going to give you any free money. Now, if they see that you have lots of money just sitting there in a 529 plan or in the bank in a savings account or even taxable brokerage accounts or prepaid tuition or equity in real estate, they could potentially not offer you as much free money because they see all this money just sitting there that you can use to pay for college. However, even if you have a high income, maybe you live in an area like New York where it's really expensive, or California, maybe you have a high income, but you don't show that you have a lot of liquid assets, money that you could get to pay for college. So you are in what we call this low EFC or SAI environment. This is what we call student positioning, where you may want to reposition some of your assets so that it looks like you need more assistance, more free money. So you're trying to get down into this corner, and that is how you're going to maximize all of the free money. It's not just about the students, it's about the family's financial situation, okay? So here's the big secret. You can reposition your assets to lower that EFC number or that SAI number. Now, again, this number is used in a formula by the schools to determine if they're going to give you any free money. Now, This, if you have less available cash, okay, then that could mean more free money. You're positioning yourself to be able to get more free money. Now, you may want to reposition certain assets like 529 accounts, savings accounts, taxable brokerage accounts, real estate, and so forth. But things like IRAs, 401ks, those are already excluded. So that doesn't hurt any sort of financial aid eligibility, but some of these other accounts may hurt your financial aid eligibility. Now, here's a huge caution, and that is, do the schools even want your student? Okay, if your student has a list of schools and your student isn't what we would call an exceptionally gifted student or a student that the school actually wants, then they may not even be willing to offer you any free money. So first of all, you need to make sure your student is choosing schools where they are in that top percentage and they are more attracted by the schools want them. Okay, they want to accept them. Then you have a little bit more room to negotiate. Okay, here's another big caution, lowering your EFC or your SAI number does not mean that you're going to save money. So many people out there are being misled on how all this works, and they're just randomly moving all of their assets, and it doesn't actually help them to save any money. So please do not reposition any of your assets without doing your homework and finding out if the schools on your list, first of all, want your student, and second of all, has the ability to work with you to maximize that free money. Do they even have the money to offer? Or are they going to maybe a low-price state school that doesn't even have a lot of money to offer? Now, the big question is, where? Where can we possibly put our money if we need to reposition assets, because maybe it does make sense and maybe it will help us lower our SAI or EFC number and maximize some of that free money? Well, the most common is what we call a MEC insurance policy, because that is actually sheltered from the FAFSA and the CSS profile when you're filling out your financial aid forms. Okay, now what is a MEC insurance policy? Well, let's say that we're talking about a $125,000 insurance policy. Now, there is a minimum that you can pay for that insurance policy. You've probably gotten a quote for term insurance, or maybe you already own term insurance, and your goal was to get the lowest price for the amount of insurance that you were looking for, right? Well, then there's this maximum. Now, this is where it gets confusing. Most people have never heard of a maximum. When's the last time you called up your insurance agent and said, hey, what's the most that I could pay for my car insurance? It doesn't exist. You've never done that before, right? But there is a maximum when it comes to life insurance. Now, the insurance company is the one that chooses the minimum, and that's how much they want for that $125,000 of insurance. But the government actually determines what we call the maximum. Now, why does the government put a limit on how much we can pay for life insurance? Well, because back in the 80s, they came out with what we call qualified plans. A qualified plan is an IRA, a 401k, a SEP, a 403b, a simple, a 457. All of these plans are where the government gets to tax the money when you pull it out. So if you have one of these plans, you have a partner. Your partner is the government, and they own part of your retirement. So when you go to take that money out, hopefully the taxes aren't higher than they are now, because if taxes are higher, then you're going to pay more taxes in the future when you take that money out. Now, in the 80s, when they came out with these qualified plans, they also came out with what we call a MEC guideline. And that is a guideline on how much you can put into these insurance contracts. It's also what we call a modified endowment contract. Now, why does the government put this limit, this MEC limit, on how much you can pay for life insurance? Well, because if you only pay $1,800, let's say, a year for this insurance policy, then that might be the minimum, and maybe it could even be less than that. But what if you paid $10,000 a year for the same policy? Well, if you do, then you're benefiting from what we call living benefits. But if you want benefits like this, the living benefits, like tax deferred growth on your money, in other words, there's this insurance component called term insurance, but then there's this cash value component where this cash value has a lot of savings benefits. So think of it like an insurance company savings account attached or part of an insurance policy. So tax deferred growth on that savings money, okay? Tax-free distributions on all of that money when you go to get the money. A competitive rate of return depending on the policy. You can put in a lot of money if you wanted to. There's a little additional benefits like long-term care riders and things like that. There's collateral opportunities where you can use the money as collateral and borrow money from the insurance company. It's safe in a lot of states from lawsuits, creditors, and bankruptcies. There's no loss provisions in the stock market depending on the type of insurance policy that you buy. So it could be, it could be safe from those stock market losses. Guaranteed loan options when you do want to borrow money from the insurance company using your cash value as collateral. And unstructured loan payments, meaning that you don't have to make any loan payments on the loans from the insurance companies. Liquidity use and control means you have access to it, okay? And in this case, we're not going to be able to get deductible contributions because we're going to get tax-free growth and tax-free distributions. But if our goal was to pay the minimum amount, then all we're going to get is what we call the death benefit. But if we like some of these benefits, these are what we call living benefits, and we could move all the way up and pay as much as we wanted to, up to this $10,000, or of course it's different. If we change this number, then it would increase this number, but it would also increase this number. All of these go hand in hand, all three of these numbers, right? But we want what we call a maximum efficient contract. Now, if we go over that limit, then we have what we call a MEC, or a modified endowment contract, and we lose the tax-free distribution, okay? But we still get a lot of other benefits. And so these policies were commonly used by the wealthy back in the day. The wealthy found out all the tax advantages of these policies, so they'd buy a little policy and dump millions of dollars in there. That's when they came out with these MEC guidelines. But there may be a scenario where you want to take money and reposition it by putting it into one of these policies. And yes, you're going to go above this line and you're going to create what we call a MEC, but that could benefit you from sheltering those assets, and you're still going to get all these other benefits. And then if you wanted to, after college, you could always move that money somewhere else. In fact, you could even move that money into what we call a maximum efficient contract that does have all of the tax benefits that you're looking for. And it could grow tax-free for the rest of your life, like a rich person's Roth IRA, they call it, okay? So that is what a MEC is, and that is one of the most common places to actually shelter some of those or reposition some of those assets. Now, if you want to calculate your SAI or your EFC number and you want to find out which schools are going to offer you the most free money, then you can go to collegecostsecrets.com, and it's completely free. Lots of data and resources there to see what makes the most sense for your situation.